Good evening. Hey, Scarlett. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. So I'm so glad you're here today. Just a couple. Just a couple housekeeping notes. So we've had to change the platform on which we are streaming this session. And normally I would stream this within StreamYard, but they made some changes to their subscription levels that I'm not so thrilled about. But I figured out a way to get this over to YouTube. So this is being streamed on a private YouTube link, and I did post that in the group. So hopefully everybody got that. And because it's going to YouTube, I don't know if I'm going to be able to see comments. So I do see one comment. Oh, yay, that worked. Okay, so I do see comments, and let's give this just a second for some folks to join here. All right. All right, everybody. Well, I am Robert, and you know me from the Next Level Pet Business Facebook group. And, I haven't known Skarlet for a very long time, but I have been impressed with her hustle and the quality of the content that she's putting out. And I felt like I really needed to share some of this goodness because, look, I'm a business owner. I'm juggling a lot. And I know that social media is something that I need to be doing. And I don't feel like, as a business owner, I'm very good at that. And I know there are a lot of people that are in that same situation. We know we have to do it, but how do we do it? And so what usually happens is we start posting photos of cute puppies and us walking a dog. And we're great about posting pictures, but then the question is, how do you actually get engagement on those posts and turn those into more sales? And so when I learned about Skarlet and her business now, Skarlet, you are your business is First Social, is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, and I know you talk a lot about engagement across your multiple social media channels, and so that really stuck out to me. So Skarlet, you bring let's see, is it 9 years now of experience?
Yeah, it is a little over 9 years. I started my social media agency in July of 2015.
And so you are a certified content marketing specialist. Did I get that right?
Among a few other certifications, yes.
Oh, okay. So can you tell us more about those certifications and what makes you uniquely qualified to be presenting this?
Sure. Do you mind if I steal a screen? Because I actually have a screen for that.
100%. Let's get that up on the screen here. Oh, I think I lost your screen. I tell you what, this has been a day.
No problem. Have you got
There
it back?
we
I think you should have it back
gotcha.
now. Okay, perfect. A company called Digital Marketer, and they are all focused around helping people use online marketing to get more clients, whether that is through content, through social media, through email, through strategies on how to acquire customers from those efforts. And then also, I have certified as customer value optimization, which is once you have a customer, how do you increase how much you can actually get that customer to either upgrade or repurchase, continue to be a customer for you.
Because let's face it, it's less expensive to upsell your existing clients or to get more value out of them than it is to go and find a new client, right?
Yeah, most of the time it is. And also, one of the things is I'm a PIN certified provider. That is a very small, the pet industry network. It's a very small association of B2B service providers who specifically work within the pet industry. And we are all vetted to be someone that you can trust, and we have shown proof of what we've been able to do. So we have lots of great people in there. There are folks who are the best at email marketing, SEO, websites for retail stores, you name it. But I am the official social media person for the Pet Industry Network.
And I think that's how I learned about you. That was my first exposure to your business was through that network. I think I was on a webinar similar to this, and I found you, so I'm glad I did. So we're going to do a Q&A at the end of this presentation. I'll keep an eye on the chat. I do see a few comments coming in, so. If you have questions, go ahead and drop them in. I've also asked our registrants to provide us questions in advance too. So I have a list of those that we'll go over at the end of this presentation. So Skarlet, I'm going to let you take it away, and I may pop in and out on the screen here, but I may interrupt you with some questions. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's do it.
And as Robert said, if you have any questions as I'm going through things, just pop them in and we will get to them when I get to the end. So a little bit further beyond certifications of who I am and why I'm here to talk to you is some of the things that I have done in those past 9 years. So I am a one-to-one content marketer for a lot of different pet businesses. I manage either all of their content marketing or just one aspect of it integrated in with their team. Or I also have training and group coaching offers available where I basically teach people how to do what I do if they are someone who is not ready to outsource it or would like to continue doing it themselves, or maybe hire one of their team members to be the person that does that. And then I also have a podcast and blog where you can get a lot of free information as well.
Do you find that a lot of business owners, so when I first started in my business, Instagram didn't exist. Then it came on the scene, right? And Facebook. And my first foray into social was to do it myself, right? And then I realized this is too much for one person to handle. As a small business owner, because I'm already wearing a lot of hats, right? So then I started looking at outsourcing, but then I was like, who do I outsource this to? And the answer to that question was an employee. Right. And I think that's the natural progression. We start trying it ourselves, and then we get an employee or a VA to post for us, and then we move to a professional. Um, Sometimes we think as business owners that nobody knows my business better than I do, right? So why would I hire a professional to do this for me? So can you talk to that just a bit? Um, because I feel like we don't want to lose control of our business, and then to turn that over to somebody else to handle such an important aspect of our business is kind of scary.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. The biggest reason I see people outsourcing to me who are giving me the full project is that they genuinely don't know where to start. They say, I don't know what I don't know, and I also don't want to learn it.
Mm,
I don't have time. I don't want to make the content. I don't want to engage with the people. I just want the leads to come in. And those are the people who hand the project over completely. There are also some folks who are just starting out. They are doing everything themselves, and they want to, even if they're going to outsource it later, learn how to optimize what they're doing now. So those are the people who will often join my memberships or hire me for deeper consulting and coaching. And then I also see people who have their team doing it do that as well. So you'll hire someone from your team maybe as a promotion, but usually it's somebody who is a dog walker or a pet sitter, not necessarily someone who's a certified marketer.
mm,
Um, so a lot of people will actually hire me as a consultant, but I will work with that team member more so than them, and I will help that team member to optimize what they're doing. So that's another way to go about it. And I think that's a really good way to bridge the gap between doing it yourself and having an employee who isn't really a marketer do. At least that takes the time off you, but it doesn't necessarily improve the results.
mm.
But a good way to bridge that gap before you're ready to hire an expert is to have a consultant or at least some sort of membership program where you have the strategy in place and you have someone who you can ask questions to and who can help you or your employee get everything rolling and do everything in a way that's actually going to bring you results.
Yeah.
And then you may not have to outsource because that employee may become an expert.
I love it. I think we all want an employee to become an expert at social. So, all
I
right,
love
let's
to
keep.
see that because you're right. There are people who there's only so much that I can bring to the table when I'm not in your business. I'm not in your local area. I don't know the people the same way. So I can learn that through talking with you. But someone who's your employee, those are kind of my favorite clients to have is you have someone on your team who I'm then consulting and they're using my trainings and things like that because then that person is kind of getting uplifted in their skill level. They're helping out your business and they still have the bird's eye view that I don't have. And they have the ability to go out and take that video with their camera of one of their clients that I couldn't do because I'm not physically there.
Right, right. Okay. Well, I hope with today's presentation we'll be able to provide folks some actionable steps that they can take, and they can go into the office tomorrow and share some of this goodness
Yeah,
with their employees. So,
absolutely. And this is anyone that you want to have on your team can do.
yeah,
As long as they know what the end goal is and what the steps to get there are, you can do this as a team. You can have one of your employees do it. You can do it yourself. So I do talk a lot about content. If anyone follows me or has watched any of my free trainings, then I talk a lot about how to plan your content, how to create your content faster, what types of content are working. But today is not about the content. So we're going to put that aside for a minute. And let's assume you're putting out content maybe 3 times a week, maybe every day. You've got a strategy in place. You understand, how that content is supposed to turn people into buyers, but people aren't seeing the content. Nobody's following you. Nobody's engaging. So this is how we're going to grow your audience and engage more people so that they actually come to your profile and see your content and follow what I call your profile funnel to your actual offers. So I consider there to be 3 types of engagement. The first one, which is what most people who are doing any type of engagement at all on their social media, they don't just post and ghost. They'll at least do moderation, which is when there's incoming engagement, you're responding and moderating. So if someone comments on your post, you're liking and replying. If someone sends you a direct message, you're responding to it. And if you have any disrespectful comments or spam comments, you are managing those and deleting those as needed. That's all in what I call moderation.
So that's like stage 1, right?
Yeah, exactly. So this will help just kind of keep the live part of your social media going, keeping your page alive when people are already coming to it. But this doesn't bring people to your page. What does that is outbound engagement. So this is following other people's accounts, liking, sharing, and saving other people's content, leaving comments, responding to stories, anytime you are giving other people engagement rather than them giving you engagement on your posts. And then beyond that, there is also direct messaging that you can either build real conversations with new people by sending out direct messages, or you can use automation tactics to draw people to send you more direct messages. So I'm going to talk about all of this today. The first step here is moderation. So this is, like I said, it's connecting with the audience that you already have. And it is important. There's a lot of people who don't really respond to comments when they do get them, and that's part of why they don't get more. So you want to always be replying to a comment that you get. Even if it's just a smiley face, respond with a different smiley face. If it's something that genuinely doesn't give you an opening to have a conversation, then you'll come across those every once in a while. But most of the time, there is some natural response that you can leave. And you look at this like, if I look at social media like it's a networking event. If you go to a networking event and someone walks up to you and starts talking to you and you don't answer them, they're going to walk away. So you want to be replying to those comments, answering people when they send you a DM. That is going to be, how you're keeping that conversation going when someone else initiates it.
And it probably feeds the algorithm too, right?
Yeah, because the more people interact with you and the more they see you interacting back with people, then it's going to see you as an active and valuable account and increase the number of people that show your content to. And then you also want to manage your page as far as spam and anything like that, just because, again, if you're having a networking event or a party at your house and someone's, being rude or, talking about something that isn't appropriate, you're gonna, for the sake of everyone there, you're gonna do something. You're gonna say something or kick them out or whatever you need to do. And you need to own your social media channels in the same way. And then moving on to outbound engagement. So the first step of engaging with other people, and those being people that become your customers, is finding the right people to engage with. So you need to know how to find your target audience. Then you need to engage with them. And this used to be super easy. When Instagram first came out and businesses first started using it, you could just go follow 300 people a day and 100 of them would follow you back and you'd be done. And it was really easy to grow accounts compared to how it is now. But people want more authentic connection before they follow someone now.
Yep.
So it's going to take more than just following most of the time. And I'll show you how to do that. And then we'll also talk about when it's okay or when it is appropriate to unfollow someone. Every time I click the next slide, it doesn't do anything because I realize I have to change tabs.
Oh.
All right. So finding that target audience. There's 2 really good ways to do this. One is by finding hashtags that they use. And the key here is making sure it's a hashtag that it's not likely for anyone else to also use. So, for example, I have a client who is a pet sitter in Tampa. And one of the hashtags we engage with for her is hashtag dogs of Tampa. So we wouldn't just engage with hashtag dogs of Instagram because those are going to be people who are likely to be all over the place.
It's too broad.
Yeah. Whereas Dogs of Tampa, the posts that we're going to get through that, the people we're going to interact with are most likely people who are in her service area or at least very close to it. Mm. So you want to make sure that whatever hashtags you're using are drilled down as much as possible to who your ideal client is. And that's also true for people who are not necessarily limited locally. If you're a dog trainer and you have online courses, you could still, you still want to drill into reaching people who are going to care about what you offer and be able to buy it from you, be able to become customers. So if you are a trainer who works with reactive dogs, hashtag reactive dog is going to be a really good one for you to work in. Whereas another thing about finding the right hashtags is making sure that they are the hashtags that are used by your target audience and not only by your competitors. So with the trainer example, hashtag reactive dog is going to be something that I have found more pet owners use to talk about their dogs, whereas hashtag positive reinforcement is something that mostly trainers use. So that hashtag, even though it seems equally relevant, isn't going to find you the same audience. And that's why hashtag research is so important. It's just looking at it and seeing how many people are in it, how often are there more posts for me to interact with, and is it the right audience for what I'm looking for? And you'll be able to figure that out pretty quickly as you start to interact with the hashtag. For example, if I knew somebody who was a dog walker who wanted to focus on doodles, and they started trying, they thought, oh, I'll just interact with hashtag doodle, that'll be fine. And it was mostly sketches from artists. So you have to pay attention to where you're going, making sure it's the right audience before you add that hashtag to the list of the ones you want to engage with.
And toward the end of this, we'll take a look at my Instagram and do a little demo here, and we'll find some hashtags for my business. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And then another place you can go, and this is especially helpful for people if you're in a very small town and it's difficult for you to find hashtags that have enough activity, is to look for accounts for similar businesses. So pet stores in your area, veterinarians in your area, groomers in your area, anyone who is a dog-related business in your area. And I say dog, I know we probably have some people watching who are like only cat sitters, but whatever is relevant to your business. Look for the people that are the accounts that have the same target audience following them. Because if you are looking for dog owners and there's a dog groomer in your town who has 1,000 followers, those are probably people who own dogs, most of them. So
that is such a smart strategy, though, finding other accounts that are maybe even more successful than you are, and finding out what hashtags they're using and putting those in our posts. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Well, that would be a good way to find out what hashtags you can rank for when you're making your own content. But I'm just saying finding people to interact with. I'll do this when we go look at your account. I'll do an example of it later, but you can use those accounts to find the people you are going to then follow and comment on.
I see.
Try and get them to build a relationship with you. The caution I use here is I try to avoid direct competitors, because then you're just going to be competing for their attention. But if you're a dog walker and you're pulling them from retail stores and groomers and vets, then it's more symbiotic, and you're not competing you're not trying to steal them away from someone they're already connected to and paying attention to. And on a side note, these are also great accounts for you to reach out to and collaborate with, and find ways to, either do a mutual training or find ways to promote each other to each other's followers as well. So,
and I'm taking notes over here, by the way. I'm telling you, I think that's really good stuff there. I've not thought of it using a hashtag of a pet related business, because I have a dog walking and a pet sitting business, but finding not a direct competitor, to your point. But other pet related businesses, and then using that to hone in on the potential clients.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I like that. I like that. So I can't wait to try this. I can't wait.
Awesome. So what you're going to be trying is, I don't want you to just go and follow their account and then be done. I want you to like some of their photos, leave a comment, like their stories if they have an active story. And then if there's someone who you can think of a good way to start a genuine conversation with that isn't, hey, buy my stuff, then send them a DM and try to connect with them. Like I said, the best mindset for this is like you're at a networking event or a party. If you stand in the corner and don't go up to anybody, you're probably not going to meet as many new people or make as many new friends as if you go out and you start conversations with people who are in the room. So there's a couple of different strategies that I like to use to do this. One of them is called $80. And there's actually now a software that is built around this strategy to make it easier for you to do and easier for you to keep up with and find the posts, as long as you have the right hashtags. But the idea is that you leave a comment or leave your 2 cents on the top 9 posts for 10 different hashtags. Now, the recommendation is to do this every day, but if you're not outsourcing, then that's probably a lot. Anything, whether it's 10 a day, 30 a day, whatever you have time for. And this is a really easy strategy to do while you're just sitting on your couch watching TV. So this strategy is to find the right 10 hashtags that have your audience in them. And then every day you go leave your comments on a post from that, on the top 9 or the most recent 9 posts from that hashtag.
So are we talking, if I understand you correctly, you're talking about 90, like 90?
That is the recommendation that comes from Gary Vaynerchuk, who is a very big name in the marketing sphere. Yep. But that is a lot. Gary Vaynerchuk also puts out 250 pieces of content a day. So, he's definitely not the be-all, end-all of how much time a normal person has to do their marketing. So if you can do 10 comments a day, 30 comments a day, any number of comments, as long as what's more important is consistency. Because in addition to bringing new people in and getting new people's eyes on your account, you're also training the algorithm to see you as someone who interacts and builds conversations. And that's something that's important too. So if you could do 5 comments a day, every day, 5 days a week, that's better than doing 30 comments on a Saturday once a week. But anything that you can do, the biggest thing I always tell people is kind of the biggest cop-out answer, but it's the truth. When they ask, how often should I post? How much engagement should I do? How many emails should I send? How many can you do consistently? Anything is better than nothing. So even though the recommendation is 90, if that's overwhelming, start with 10, start with 30. Whatever works for you is going to be better than not doing anything at all. Just know that the more you do, the faster you're going to see results.
And what really strikes me is that it sounds like we should be spending more time on the engagement part, reaching out, leaving comments, as opposed to spending all that time trying to craft the perfect post, right? Yeah.
As long as your strategy is on point, I think that's more important than having this gorgeous graphic designed, post or the perfect reel every time.
I love that.
And if you can post 3 times a day and do this, or once every day, but because of that you can't do this, I'd rather see you posting 3 times a week and doing this, because this is important to do, at least at some level.
You don't have to be perfect. I want everybody to really let that sink in, because I become paralyzed for fear of presenting something that is not polished, right? And that really scares me, and it holds so many people back. It really does. Just do something. Do something.
Done is 100% better than perfect. If waiting to be perfect is stopping you from doing it, it is hurting you.
Yeah.
So what I like to do when I have the opportunity is go a step beyond this strategy. And instead of only leaving a comment on each of those posts, I also do what I call a notification bomb. So I leave that comment, then I go like any active stories they have, I follow them, and I like the most recent 10 posts or so. And what that does is, if you see the screen over here on the right, that shows them their whole notification list is you. They've got a whole string of notifications of you interacting with their content. And when that happens, it's very highly likely they're going to click on your account and go see what you're all about. And the goal here, all of your engagement, most of the time, your goal is only to get them to your profile. Your profile should be set up in a way that it funnels people to your offers. So your profile, your bio, your highlights, your pinned top 3 posts, those have a job, and their job is to get them on your email list, get them to your sales pages, whatever you have it set up to do. The job of your engagement is to get them to your profile. And when they see this whole wall of just you, notification after notification, then they're almost always going to click over and see what you're all about. And then that gives your profile a chance to pop in and do its job of attracting them. Oh, I was like, why is this slide empty? It's because of this. This is where I have taken screenshots for you of just examples of this strategy working. So every one of these is an instance where I left a comment on somebody's account, and that person then turned around and followed me. So you can see.
Can you go back to that screen just for a second? Oh, I see. Okay. I'm following you. This is starting to click for me.
Yeah, so this person, they're going to see the comment that you left them. They're going to, sometimes they'll like it, sometimes they'll respond to it, sometimes they won't do either one, and then sometimes they will follow you. So you have that opportunity. I'd say, depending on the quality of the hashtag you've chosen, the quality of the comments that you're leaving, I see anywhere from 10 to 30% of the people that I reach out to turn around and follow the account.
Amazing.
And then that moves us on to the next strategy. So if you only do the outbound engagement, you are miles ahead. You're going to start seeing your account grow. You're going to start seeing people actually click in and join your email list from the opt-ins you have pinned to the top of your page. As long as your account is set up to pull people in and attract people, the outreach is going to help more people see that. So the next step, if you'd like to go just a step further, is to actually reach out in a direct message. The reason that this is something I want to be very careful with is because a lot of people that do this, they reach out and they start by introducing their business, introducing their offers, asking them what they need help with. But you are asking somebody to marry you before you go on a first date when you do that on social media. So what your goal here is, when you send a DM, your immediate goal is not to make a sale. Your immediate goal is to make a friend.
So how do we do that without sounding spammy, though?
So here's an example of one that I like. And this is if I have found somebody just through a hashtag. I'll say, hey there, I just saw your post about this in this hashtag, and I loved something about that post. And then a really common question that works for me, because my target audience is businesses, is how long have you been in business? Think about what type of question you would ask somebody if you were wanting to introduce yourself based on whatever post you're talking about. So let's say you find somebody and you see that their account and they have a black lab puppy and they're in your service area. And you can just go and say, hey, I just came across your profile because of X hashtag, or even just say I came across your profile. And Cole looks so cute. How old is he? Right? So anything that tells them why you're reaching out, because so you're not just a total stranger who just said hey and left it at that, because that will never be good. If somebody just DM'd you hey, you wouldn't respond in most cases. So you want to start a conversation and ask a question. and you want it to be something that is not what, do you need a dog walker? You want to build a relationship here, because the job of this outreach is to get them to engage with you. And this will also increase the likelihood that they're going to come follow your account and look at your content. And that when someone has DM'd you, that also increases your ranking in their personal algorithm for how likely they are to see your content. So that person is now more likely to see your content if they're in a DM conversation with you. And then when they go look at your profile, then they can see, here's what I offer, here's what I do, here's how to find my prices, whatever. You don't have to do that in this conversation. Now, there are ways this conversation can move into a sales conversation. Sometimes they'll initiate it themselves. Sometimes they'll literally say, hey, I see you're a dog walker, and I, just took a new job where I'm not able to come home for lunch. What can you help me with that? There are people who will do that. There will be some people who they'll say something that kind of opens up a natural point in the conversation for you to say, hey, that's actually something I can help with. Would you like to hear more? If they are saying, that black lab puppy, he's great, but he can't be home very long by himself, and I wanted to go on vacation soon, but it looks like it's going to be a while. You can say, hey, have you considered hiring a pet sitter for you to be able to go on vacation? So sometimes it'll come up naturally in the conversation. Sometimes it won't, and that's okay. There are other situations where these DM conversations can be more business driven right from the get-go, but those are usually ones where they have initiated. Either they've sent you a DM to ask for a resource, or they have followed you or something like that. When they have initiated interaction with your account, then you can make these DMs more about serving them, because that's why you reached out. You can say, hey, I saw that you just followed me, or hey, thanks for the comment you just left on my post, or, hey, I just saw that you were asking for this resource, here it is. And by the way, so that I can make sure I'm supporting my followers in the best way possible, what are the things that you're struggling with? What are the things that you need help with in the area that, whatever it is, whether it's, what are the things you would love to learn from pet sitters that you have not before? Or what are the things you struggle with training your dog? Whatever's relevant to your business.
Yes.
For me, one of the things that I do whenever someone joins my Facebook group is I send them a DM to welcome them, and I say, what are the challenges that you're facing right now, or what are your goals this year, so that maybe I can point you at the content I already have that can help you with that, or I can make content that will help you with that. And that opens up a conversation in a way that still it establishes you as a business and as an authority, but it's not just, here's something for you to buy right away.
So reach out, DM, don't be spammy.
Yeah, exactly. No spammies. And this is a good way. You will have so many fewer people ignoring you or calling you spammy because of the way that you interact and the way that you're reaching out.
Yes.
And then the last thing that I want to talk about that's really helpful is increasing the engagement with your inbox with your inbox and your posts by not using link in bio. So obviously you have a link in your Instagram bio. You want to use it for something that you want to drive people to, but that's something that is there as a bookmark for a very important, maybe your homepage, maybe your primary offer right now. Maybe you have a sale going on that's only for this week. That's what your link in bio should be. Your posts can be about tons of different things. So if you have a sale, if you have a lead magnet, like a guide to the dog-friendly places in your city, if you have anything that you would normally send them to a link, I even do this for blog posts now because the reaction to it is just so much higher, is instead of leaving a link or telling them the link is in the bio, I say, just drop keyword in the comments and I'll send it your way, or comment keyword and I'll send you a DM, something along those lines. So in this case, this is a post where I was promoting my free Instagram secrets ebook. And Instead of telling them there's a link in bio or check out a highlight or a pinned post, I told them to drop secrets in the comments. So there's two ways you can do this. If you don't want to set up automation or pay for it, you can do this manually. You can, when somebody comments secrets, you can say, hey, I just sent you a DM, and then go send them a DM with the link in it. But that is not quite as effective because you're not getting that response immediately, and it's easy for things to fall through the cracks. So if you're just trying this out, go for it. But I really love to automate this. And what I personally use is a system called ManyChat. There are also some CRMs that will do it, where you set up the back end, basically work the lead flow, funnel, whatever you want to call it for this. And when they comment secrets, your comment reply to them is automated. It's not you doing it. The system automatically, replies to say, hey, check your DMs or something along those lines, whatever you've set it up to say. And then they also automatically will receive a DM from your account that says, hey, I'm so glad you're interested in using your Instagram account to grow your business. Here's the Instagram secrets guide. And the link is there in the DM.
So you're using ManyChat, MANY, ManyChat. For those of you using the PetBiz CRM, I'm pretty sure it has this functionality. I know we can implement automated replies on posts in a Facebook page. I don't know what the limitations are in terms of Instagram, but I'll check into that for you. But it doesn't matter what automation platform you're using. I just think it's important to do it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something that I use this all over the place. I don't just use it on Instagram. I use the comment method on Facebook, on LinkedIn. Even though you can put comments and posts there, I actually get better results when I do this. More people will comment secrets than will click a link. It's amazing. I'm still not 100% why. I think my theory, which is not founded on any particular study, is that commenting and then continuing your scroll and moving on is easier than clicking something and interrupting your social media time to go read a blog or sign up for a thing. So if you comment, it's going to be waiting for you in your inbox when you're ready to go look at it. So I think more people are happy to do that.
I did that on one of your posts. I can't remember which one it was, but I typed secrets, and within, I don't know, 60 seconds, I had the deliverable. It was so fast. And you're right. Just typing the word, I thought it was easy to do, secrets, and then I just move on with my life, right? And in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, well, Skarlet will see that and will get back to me later. We'll put the pressure on Skarlet. And I asked you, did I not, if you were using some sort of an automation for that, because it was so fast. It was so fast. But I didn't have to wait for you to see that and to send me the Instagram PDF.
Yeah, that's the wonderful thing about this particular automation strategy. Your social media posts become salespeople for you while you are asleep.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it's this, for me, gets people on my email list. There are plenty of other things. You could have them send them a link to your client application or your contact form or whatever the next step in that process is. You may have a post that says, hey, I currently have room for X more dog walking clients before the end of the year. If you want to get them before they're gone, comment such and such, comment keyword, comment walks, whatever. And I'll send you the link to apply or to sign up for the service or whatever link you want to send them. And then that post is, every person who sees that post is getting that link if they want to comment without you having to stare at it, spend time going back to it. It happens even while you're working or while you're asleep.
I was you know what? I totally lost my train of thought. There was a dog barking outside my window, and Yeah, there's something going on outside my window. I'm sorry. Keep going. I'll come back to that.
No, I get it. I've lost track of my thoughts a couple of times here because my foster kitten is, my left hand does not belong to me right now.
Oh my
And my hat.
goodness.
All right.
There's
So,
like literally a fight going on outside my
oh
window.
no, I hope it's not actually a fight. I hope it's just very rambunctious.
Okay. Sorry.
All right. So the other thing I want to talk about is unfollowing, because there's a lot of stigma around this about thinking that it's rude to unfollow somebody or feeling depressed or like you've messed up when someone unfollows you. And I think it's important to understand that that's not quite what it is. So whenever you really don't have any reason to continue seeing content from this account, it's totally fine to unfollow them. It's like unsubscribing from a magazine. And you as a content creator, because whether you're a business, whether you are posting to share your pet related blog, whatever your reason is, on social media, you are a content creator. So as a content creator, if someone unsubscribes from your content, that is not something to be upset about. That is something to be happy about because they have now refined your audience.
Mm.
They have taken away your effort from trying to reach them when they have opted out as not being interested. So now that one view that was going to go to them can go to somebody else who might be interested.
Mm.
If they show
So you can see when people unfollow?
you can't, but you can't see which people do, but you can see the number of people. So if you go to your Instagram insights, you can see over the course of whatever time period you set it to, so many people followed you, so many people unfollowed you, and this is the net difference. So some people get upset because they're like, oh, I got 100 new followers this week, but I lost 20 followers, so it doesn't feel as good. I'm like, that's great, because that's 100 new potential clients, and that's 20 people who are not going to be your clients, who are giving up their space for somebody else. So it's the more people have unfollowed you as you grow your account, the more refined your account becomes, and the higher percentage of people who are still following you are people who actually care about what you have to say. So it's not bad. If someone just simply, and I use the same concept, mindset for an email list or people in your Facebook group. The people who are there, you want them to be people who care about what you're providing them, the content, the emails, whatever. And if they don't care, then it's not helping you for them to stay in your audience. So opting out is a good thing.
Thank you for that, because when I see unsubscribes on my list, it hurts my feelings. And, I mean, it's just human nature, right? But to your point, it's refining the audience. I love it.
And it can be a double whammy when it's an email list too, because you can see who it was that unsubscribed, and you can be personal. Yeah. But no, it's okay if that person, for whatever reason, and a lot of times it's not because they don't like your content. It's not even that they don't care about what you're offering. A lot of times it's because they no longer are in a time of life or a season where that's what they need right now. Yeah. And they may come back to it. I've had people who unsubscribed and then 6 months later resubscribed and then bought something because they weren't in the period to focus on their marketing, and they knew that. And they took it out of their sphere so that they could focus on things that were mattering to them right then. And then they came back to it when it was time for them to focus on it. And you'll see that a lot, even though you can't see exactly who it is. Followers do that too. There's also some people who just didn't lose interest in you. They lost interest in the entire, in the content category. So let's say they were following you because they have a dog and then the dog passes away. Well, now they're gonna, if they unfollow, it's for a personal reason. It has nothing to do with you or your content.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different reasons that somebody might unfollow. It's important not to take it personally and honestly look at it as, like I said, good thing, refining your audience and increasing the percentage of people in that pool who actually care about your content. And there is just a quick list of what not to do that I always include on this presentation because I get asked these questions a lot. A lot of people know by now not to buy followers. There are still some who are like, is it worth it just to buy like 1,000 so that my account doesn't look really pathetic to have 100 followers on it? And the reality is no, absolutely not. There's never a good reason to buy followers. Even if you are totally fine with those followers not being potential customers and you just want to get the vanity number up, and there's a legitimate reason to want that, right? There is a subconscious opinion that people make of you as a professional when they see you have a lot of followers versus when they see that you don't. And they make assumptions about your success. So I understand why that vanity metric is important to people. But it is going to hurt you through the algorithm as well. Not just the fact that those 1,000, 10,000, however many are not potential clients, but the algorithm is going to see you have 1,000 followers, and when you post something, they don't care about it. They don't interact with it within the first 15 minutes or so. So we don't think your content is valuable. So we're not going to show it to more people. You want, especially when your audience is small, you want them to be raving fans as much as possible, because the more that they will interact with your content, the more your content can be seen by more people. And that is also true of who they show the content to. So if you have an audience of 1,000 fake accounts or 1,000 totally general people who have nothing to do with the pet industry, who don't follow a lot of other pet accounts, that's not a genuine interest that their account is displaying to the algorithm. They're not helping you refine to the algorithm who your audience is. Because your audience will look at who is currently following you to build a picture of who your ideal follower is. So if you have tons of dog owners in your city as your followers, it's more likely to show your post to dog owners in your city than to anybody else. So who your followers are does matter more than how many followers you have.
And that's why we don't do the number 2 on this list, the follow for follow. It drives me up a wall. I see it in the groups every single day. We have new businesses coming online and they're like, hey, come to my Instagram, follow me, and I'll follow yours. The worst thing you could possibly do, in my opinion, because everybody that's following you they're not local to you. They're not engaged. They're not looking for your services. And so the algorithm is then going to think, oh, well, maybe Robert is more of a national a brand, right? And it's going to present my post to people that don't matter, right? I mean, yes. I don't want to say don't matter, but aren't
They're
going
not
to
your ideal client.
my business, right?
So I would say it's not that you should never follow other businesses, but you should do it strategically. It should never be a follow for follow, share for share, comment for comment kind of thing. Because, like you said, those people are not going to engage with your content. They're not someone who cares about what you're talking about, what you're putting out. So that is going to be no different than having bought a follower who isn't engaging with your content and who isn't the type of person who fits your ideal client persona. Now, one thing where it is a good idea to follow other accounts is when you want to build a collaborative network with people who are genuinely partnering together. If you and I follow each other, that makes sense. We're still commenting on each other's posts. We're still engaging with each other. We still care about what the other person is talking about, even though we're both business owners. I have people in the pet industry network, all the other pin experts I follow, because their information is valid to me. I interact with them at minimum once a month in our meetings, often more often than that. There are genuine connections in my business. And those are people I would recommend following. And also considering partnering with for your content as well. Things like going live on Instagram. You can create reels together that are collaborative without ever having to be in the same room. There's a lot of creative things that you can do to get in front of each other's audiences. The same way I was talking about when I was saying look to them for who follows them. You can also look to them as a potential partner. So in that way, in the community over competition mindset, it can be good to follow strategically accounts that you actually are going to interact with. But on a long list of follow for follow that you're never going to actually engage with their content and they're never going to engage with yours, it's not going to be valuable for you. And in the same stream of thought, engagement groups or engagement pods, there's a couple of different names for them, have the same negative impact, actually much worse, because the algorithm has caught on to them. So for anyone who doesn't know what this is, an engagement group is a group of people, sometimes it's 10 people, sometimes it's 500 people, who have agreed to engage with each other's content on a quid pro quo basis. So I agree to comment on every one of your posts, and in return, you will comment on every one of my posts. And that artificially increases your engagement rate. And the idea is that Instagram will then show that content to more people because it has a higher engagement rate. And that used to work. These strategies are all from days when Instagram worked differently. And in the new ancient youth Instagram days, when it first started out, yes, these things worked because the algorithm had not caught on yet. So it was purely looking at your engagement rates and not looking too close at who they were coming from. But now it can actually identify when you are in an engagement group. When it sees the exact same people comment on every single one of your posts, and it's the exact same people whose posts you are commenting on and nobody else's, then it sees that it's an engagement group and it will shut down your reach to everyone else. Because
so you can't fool the algorithm. It knows probably more about you than you know about yourself. And this fake engagement, if I ever see a post like that in the next level group, I'm going to take it down. And don't get your feelings hurt. I'm doing that to save you from yourself. But somebody just posted a comment. I do network with pet sitters and dog walkers out of my state, and I send them clients and vice versa. So I guess that goes back to your point about being selective, right? About who you're following. So it's one thing to go in a group that has 18,000 people, competitors in your same industry, and saying, hey, follow me, I'll follow you. That's terrible advice. But, if you're in a smaller group and you're starting to get to know people, these one-on-one conversations you have with folks, right? And I liked your profile because I got to know you, right? But I didn't go in any group and ask 18,000 people to come follow my page. That would have killed my reach.
Yeah, so the rule of thumb that I like to use as kind of a sanity check for any of these things is, if this person does not reciprocate, will I be upset? If I follow them and they don't follow me back, do I feel like they have done something wrong? If I comment and they don't comment on one of my posts, do I feel like they've done something wrong? If that is yes, then you're probably not commenting and following for the right reasons. It's probably not content that you actually care about. Because otherwise you follow them, you comment on their content because you want to do it. And if that's the case, whether they reciprocate or not is irrelevant. So if you're doing it, if you're interacting with people who are either competitors or people who are other businesses outside your service area, and they're people you genuinely have connections with, so you're commenting and DMing because you know them, that's a good thing. But if there's somebody who, if you realize they're not going to reciprocate, you feel like you've wasted your time, then you're in a situation that's a follow for follow engagement group kind of mindset that you want to stay away from. And let's see. Yep, I believe that is it. So on the right, I have a QR code that you can use to find my pet business marketing basics free trainings. Those are in my membership area and my Facebook group. You can get access to them. We didn't talk a lot about content today, but those talk a lot about content and all the other pieces that we didn't touch today, because it's a lot. It's way too much for one webinar. So you guys can either join the QR code here, or if you just find me, Skarlet Rockwood, on basically any social media network, there's going to be a post or a cover photo or something that leads you to this group. And then I have one other surprise thing to share at the end of this. But first, I want to kind of dive into questions.
Yeah, so let's take can we do one thing really quick before we get to
Mhm.
questions? Can I flip over to my Instagram and I'd like for you to help me figure out how to find the right hashtags, okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
So let me throw Oh, look who popped up in my feed, Michelle Klein. I love her. I love her.
Yeah, me too.
Let's see here. So I'm going to go to this I'm going to the search, right? Is that
Yeah.
where I would look for hashtags?
Yes. So you would go, you're located in Ogden.
Yep.
So hashtag Ogden dog, hashtag dogs of Ogden. Those are the first that I would check. And then when you have smaller service areas, because I know you're close to Salt Lake City, but those hashtags aren't going to be worth a lot to you because you don't actually service Salt Lake City. So you want to
Yep.
stay away from the temptation of using the bigger city tags if you don't actually service the bigger city that's near you. If you do, then I would focus on those full sprout, like all out. But if you don't service that city, then I wouldn't use them. So you could go to.
So I did something interesting here. I typed the first thing I did was it seemed like it was an obvious choice was Ogden dog or Ogden
Mhm.
dogs, but then I said dog Ogden.
Mhm.
So there are a lot of variations
There's
that I
tons
could
of
be choosing
variations.
from, right?
And we were
Um,
talking about before, one of the ways that I kind of find some of these variations is I go to ChatGPT and I basically tell it, I am trying to find dog moms who live in Tampa, Florida. What hashtags might they use that are specific to dogs and specific to Tampa? And it will spit out a list that's Tampa dogs, dogs of Tampa Bay dogs, whatever combination I can think of. um, ChatGPT will think of them a lot faster. And then you can go in and check. And some of them will be doves, and some of them will be hashtags that have a lot of reach. And what you're looking for this is the more posts they have in them, the better, because that means more people every day are adding new content to this hashtag for you to interact with.
so I just went to Chat GPT. I'm not sharing that screen. I thought I was sharing it, but I did go to ChatGPT and I just asked it. I took that one hashtag, okay, the Ogden dogs hashtag, and I said, oh, yeah, all I said was find more hashtags related to hashtag Ogden dogs. And it just spit out, and this is kind of mind blowing to me. It just spit out probably 20 different hashtags that I know are legit because I use those in my posts. How about that? I love it.
Yeah, so what you want to do is do a search for each of those. I personally keep a spreadsheet of the hashtags that I use, and I just keep track of how I put next to the hashtags how many posts are in it. Because the more posts are in it, the more likely it is that there's new traffic to it every day. So if there's a post that has 1,000 hashtags in it versus 10,000, you're more likely to get a new piece of content sooner out of the one that there's 10,000 in. But if you're a smaller city, you may need to have a longer list of hashtags to look around for new content.
So I found that the Ogden dogs hashtag is pretty active. So when I click on that, um, there are a lot of posts that pop up here. So like, what would be my next step? Um, how do I
So,
find the top post here, or yeah,
well,
how do
so
I
within
make?
Instagram, you can't actually, you used to be able to actually sort this by either top post or most recent post.
Oh, okay.
And I do see, I'm going to just respond. I see some comments coming in that folks got the wrong time. So they're just now coming in. But yes, there will be a replay, and you're welcome to stick around to see this example and ask any questions that you have. But there will be a replay for the part that you missed. I'm sorry if the time zone got a little
Oh
wonky.
no! Oh no! See, oh goodness, I'm so sorry, y'all. If you got the wrong email, it is or the wrong time, it's completely 100% my fault. Scarlett had nothing to do with that. Okay, so I'm sorry, but we have the replay.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. We started at 7 p.m. Eastern. So for anybody who got an email that had the wrong time zone in it, we apologize.
Ah, rat. Stupid
All right.
time zones.
So yeah, what with this you can no longer sort. So I would just start at the top.
Okay.
If you are using, there is a tool if you want to check it out called $80.com, and that tool will allow you to sort the posts in a hashtag by things like the most popular or the most recent. I really like to do the most recent because that means that person who just posted is more likely to still be active and to see and respond to your comment. Versus if you do it by top posts or most popular posts, sometimes you're going to end up commenting on a post that was made like a year ago because it got a lot of traffic and still hung out in the top posts. But if you are doing it just through Instagram and you don't have the ability to sort, I would just start at the top, or even what you're doing, just kind of zoom around to the ones that look interesting to you and then click into.
Yes. So like this one has 280 likes, whereas this one has 22. So if I'm looking at these two posts, obviously the one with 280 got a lot more engagement, right? And what's weird is it's just, I mean, it's not a fancy picture of a dog, is it? It's just a plain dog picture. So how did they get that much engagement? So what do I do with this? I mean, 280 people liked this. Now what?
So I would click on that. If you want to go down the rabbit hole and I cared about finding out how they got that much content, the next thing I would do is click on their account and just look and see how many followers they have. So they have
So they
1,300
have like,
followers.
yep.
So that's really good engagement. If you click back a couple to that post that only had 22.
There we go.
Right there. And then click and see how many they have. They have 2,000. Is that right? 2,000. So that's really interesting to see the difference in engagement rate in these accounts. So this might be something, if I was going to do really in-depth research, let's say one of these accounts was a potential client, and I was going to do in-depth research for this, I would look through a lot of their stuff and say, try and figure out why one is getting more engagement than the other. And the good news for you is, for your purposes, it doesn't matter. You're not worried about any of this. All you have to do is engage. You can engage with both of those posts equally. So if you go back to the hashtag list.
Oh yeah.
And then click on really any of these. You're on the right page now.
Oh, okay. Oh, that one there. Oh, I see. Okay.
So just pick any post really. And what you want to do is basically interact with it as if it was across your feed and you stop scrolling and want to interact with it. So like, and then read the caption. So I am having a little bit of trouble seeing because it's too small on my screen, but I think it's a happy birthday or adoption day post.
Yes. So okay. So tell me if I'm on the right track. So I'm just going to I'm going to reply on this right here, and I'm going to say, "I'm sorry I missed your birthday." Such a good-looking boy. What do you think?
So this is actually a really good thing that comes to mind here. If this is not a person you know, how stalkery does it sound that you are sorry you missed their birthday?
Oh, good point. Good point.
So instead, I might say, let's see, because this was back in May, yeah. So I would say something that makes it clear you understand that today was not their birthday. Like I wouldn't just say happy birthday here, but I might say that cake looks delicious. What flavor is it?
That cake looks delicious. What flavor was it? There we go. So how easy was that?
So now you've got the comment that you bonus points for asking a question, because that's more likely they're going to respond to the comment and start a conversation. But what's important is you want to try to leave comments that sound as genuine as possible, and you want to avoid comments like great picture or cute dog or anything like that that feels like you're just copy pasting the same comment over and over again.
Oh, good point.
You want to make sure that you tailor the comment as much to this individual post as possible. And what I have just recently been tweaking with my team on my own account is avoiding asking questions that don't make sense or that imply something that isn't true. So, for example, I'm sorry I missed it implies that you are someone who should have known it was when it was. Or something like asking a groomer if they're available for a groom on the following Saturday when you have no intention of scheduling a groom with them. That would not be a comment that I would leave out and say, do you have any bookings open this weekend? Because of course that's a comment they're going to respond to, but you're kind of wasting their time and being a little bit of a jerk with that kind of comment, right? They're not going to see you. They're not going to see you as someone they want to build a relationship with, because it's going to become obvious to them that you're not actually asking that question really. So just be authentic with the questions that you have. And if you have team helping you, make sure that your team knows enough personal information about you. For example, my team, when they first started, before I gave them enough information, was telling people things about my dogs or saying my dogs would love this. Well, I don't currently own any dogs. So anyone who gets to know me will realize how inauthentic that comment is.
Yes. Yes.
So you want to make sure that, they are not saying anything that doesn't make sense. Even if the person who you're leaving a comment on is a total stranger and wouldn't understand that it doesn't make sense, you want to make sure that it is authentic and just relevant to the truth, because otherwise you're going to end up confusing people. And when they do start to get to know you, it'll push them away more than draw them to you.
So I made a comment about the cake. Okay. So obviously I don't know these people, and it would be silly to come back and give them a belated birthday, because to your point, that seems inauthentic. So I did a post, a comment that I think is authentic. Now what? So I see 25 people have liked this post. Do I do anything with that? When I click on that, I can see who liked it. Does that do me any good?
Not necessarily, because that list of people is not necessarily someone who owns a dog in your area.
Aha. Okay.
So the next thing I would do is also like this post and then go to this person's account. Okay.
And I see they are, two pups. Oh, they have their own channel. Timber and Willow. Okay.
Yeah. So I would probably click more, especially since you're a local, and some people will even list like their city in their bio.
Mm-hmm.
So I would go into their bio and click more. And in this case, it doesn't, but sometimes it gives you enough information to even confirm if they're in your service area or not. Mm-hmm. But at this point, I would follow them, and I would maybe like a bunch more posts and then move on to the next person.
Okay, that's good. That's good stuff. And then when do you recommend, so we talked about DMs, like talk to me about that real quick.
So that is someone that, when I find somebody that I really want to go the extra mile with connecting with them, because they seem like maybe this person definitely has, lives in your service area. They've got Ogden written in their bio somewhere or something. Maybe because they're definitely and also because of who they are. Like, you look at the profile, you get to know that this is someone that looks like I would enjoy having them as a client. Then you could message them and just say, like, if I was going to message them from you, I would probably say, hey, I just came across your account. Timber and Willow look like they are so much fun. Do you live in Ogden?
Okay.
And the reason it's not random to ask that is because they did already use an Ogden hashtag.
I would do that if I kind of strayed away from walking huskies.
Yeah, yeah, and that's fine.
They're so sweet. They're beautiful.
So that's the opposite example of paying attention to the account. If they're not an ideal client, then you don't need to interact with them at all. You don't need to DM them or even leave that comment because you don't want them as a client.
That makes that makes a lot of sense. So we're kind of running over. So if you just joined us again, I'm sorry. It's my fault. You can beat me over the head. The time in the email apparently was not correct. So I kind of got those time frames confused. Sorry. But there's a replay, so you can watch that. So there are some questions that came in. I'd like to kind of go through those really quick. We won't spend a ton of time on this, but there's a question here. How do you schedule videos on Instagram? Can you schedule those?
So you can schedule, it depends on what type of video it is. So if you are going to go live, you can schedule your live ahead of time. And it will show on your account that you have scheduled a live to happen so that people who follow you can plan to be there. You can schedule a reel to go out ahead of time. And a reel is, at this point, anything less than about 3 minutes. It's a vertical format. Those can be scheduled ahead of time. Unfortunately, on Instagram, those are the only ways you can do video right now. You used to be able, they used to have something called IGTV, where you could upload up to an hour long video. You can no longer do that. So if you want a longer video, maybe a 10-minute conversation with somebody, the only way that you can do that is by going live on Instagram.
Okay.
So you can either do that in addition to whatever else you're doing, or one strategy that I like is I go live on Instagram with them, and then I download that video and send it to the other places. Edit it and repurpose it. But I use the IG Live as the original recording platform for that conversation, because then it can also live on Instagram.
How often is best to post? We kind of talked about, we talked about commenting. I don't know that we talked about posting, and also are paid posts worth it?
Okay, so how often to post is what I said earlier. However often you can do it consistently. I would rather see you post 3 times a week for a year indefinitely than post 30 posts in one day and then stop. And then not post again for a year. Like the consistency and the doing it over time, teaching both your followers and the algorithm that you are there to stay, you are an active user, is valuable. So even if it's 1 post a week, because you can only get that much out, I'd rather see that than posting those 4 posts in one day once a month.
Gotcha.
So, what I go for is I really like to see 1 post per day. And then I do have some clients who I post 3 times a week. So either one of those is what most of the businesses that are of the size that are going to be watching this can sustain. At the very least 3 times a week. If you are using my strategies for planning and creating your content, you should have enough time to get 1 post a day out, because you're going to be blocking, you're going to be scheduling it ahead of time, so you're not having to actually think about it every single day.
Here's a question. Recently, this is interesting. So recently in the last few weeks, if I respond to a post asking for a dog sitter, and I respond to that with a link to my contact form, I guess, it flags me. We kind of talked about this, right? I mean, that seems very spammy to just pop into somebody's feed and start throwing your link around, right?
It can, and that's what the algorithm is seeing. So they're seeing it as spam, and that's why it doesn't like it. Even though to the user, it doesn't seem like that because they asked for that information from you, right? So what I would do if you're struggling with this and it's telling you can't leave this comment, it's spam, I would instead leave a comment telling them what you do, how you are the solution to whatever they asked for, and then either asking them to send you a DM or asking if you can send them a DM. And then move that conversation into DMs. If you have some questions you'd like to ask first, like how many dogs do you have, when do you need this, etc., move them, have the conversation you would normally have with someone who you're standing next to in person and deciding whether they're a good prospect for a meet and greet. Do the same thing that you would do in that scenario in the DMs. If you're ready to send them a link and you don't need to ask any questions, then at that point in the DM, send them the link to whether it's book a meet and greet, contact form, whatever it is that you're trying to get them to go to.
Okay.
But yeah, it's because the algorithm it's smart enough to see what the post is about, but sometimes it doesn't get it right. So it's not registering that you're just giving them what they asked for. All it's seeing is what to them looks like a spam comment.
It doesn't know context. It's just looking at the behaviors, right?
Yeah. And it does get frustrating because we see so many spam comments that come through that get through just fine. But then when we as a small business want to post something, we end up getting that trigger. So you just kind of have to learn that it's the Wild West and the algorithm does not love you. But you can survive it and you can learn how to get around it and how to make it happy. And for me, this is the way to do that in that scenario, is instead answer them in a way that clearly answers their question and shows that you have the solution they're looking for. And then either send them a DM and just tell them you sent it to them, or depending on what the context is, sometimes if it's like a Facebook group, that's a little too forward. So maybe you say, can I send you a DM?
Mm-hmm. Here's I like this one. How do you know what the best time to post is? So this person is referencing specifically Meta, so probably Facebook.
Okay.
But when you schedule post, it's not accurate. They use the same time every day. That can't be right. Thank you.
So the reason that they use the same time every day is because it is an average of your audience's behavior. So on average, every Monday, the people who are currently following you are on at these times a day. And they're looking at it almost like a percentage. There may be 10% of your audience on at this time of day, but there's 80% of them at this time of day. So this is a better time. If you look at just the analytics that's natively in places like Facebook and Instagram, you can see those times. And sometimes it's a different time every day of the week. Sometimes it's the same time every day of the week. It depends on your audience's behavior. But those I would trust before trusting any article that says the best time to post for everybody is 2 p.m. on Facebook or something like that. There's a lot of articles out there that'll do that. And that does not have anything to do. That's the average of the entirety of the entire platform. That is not the average of your audience, and your audience is who you care about. So look at your analytics, check back with them every month and see when is your audience online. Now, I personally use a platform called Metricool to do my scheduling and analytics and a lot of other things. And when you schedule on their calendar, I like it. It's not just pinpointing this specific time and saying, this is the time when everybody's online. Instead, it gives you like a color code. So for Instagram, it's pink. You can see that every time slot is either a lighter to a darker pink. And the darker the pink is, the more people in your audience are likely to be online at that time.
I like it. So there are third-party tools out there that can help us.
Yeah, it's very helpful because, and you'll see it's not the same time. And those times, as you like you said, you're expecting them to fluctuate more. That will happen more as your audience grows. And that will also happen more for people who have a less local audience. So for me, I have people who get on at 2 p.m. I have people get on at 8 a.m. because it's the same time for them, right? For me, it's 2 different times, but for them, it's the same time of day. So there's both probably people checking during their lunch. So for me, it's kind of all over the place. But I do see early afternoon. Most of the time, that's the best place. And then sometimes I'll see a second heavy spot in the evening, like around dinner time.
Mm.
So that's what I see personally. But you need to look at your audience and see when they're getting online.
Mm. So this may be the last question of the night. This is kind of a loaded question, but maybe you can help me. I don't know. I know the answer to this, but maybe you can help me here. Where did it go? Hang on,
While
hang
you're pulling
on.
that up, I see one question in the chat that's really quick that I can answer.
Yeah,
And
go
it's, do
ahead.
you use a business account for outreach or a personal account?
Thank
On
you. Thank you.
on Instagram, you should always have your account set as a business account. Don't use a personal profile setup. There is no benefit to it. A lot of people will say that it reaches more people, but it's just not, and you won't get your analytics. So use
Business
this,
profile.
and it does. And on Instagram, it does not change how you can interact with people. Now on Facebook, this is a different story. On Facebook, a page versus a profile are very different. So you may realize there are Facebook groups you can't join. There are you actually can't use this strategy in the same way on a Facebook page, because that Facebook page is not allowed to just go comment on a profile's post as easily. They've got things set up differently in the way that you can interact with people. So if you are going to people's Facebook pages and commenting on their posts, you would need to do it with a personal profile. But on everything I've really been showing works best on Instagram. If you want to do something like this on Facebook, instead of people's pages, I would recommend going to Facebook groups where the ideal client hangs out. So local area Facebook groups. If you have local area Facebook groups that are specific to pets, even better. And those are the places I would be hanging out, looking to interact with people.
I found the question.
Okay.
Can you please go and I don't think we have time for the details here, okay? But just high level, can you please go into the details about the Facebook Pixel? Should you install it on your website, and how does this relate to cookies?
So, yeah, details are definitely a whole webinar themselves.
Yep.
But I would say this is related to if you are going to be running paid advertising. So the purpose of a Facebook Pixel is so that Facebook can understand when someone has done the action you are paying them for. So this is helpful for if you are sending them to a webinar registration, then you put the pixel on the registration thank you page. Someone only lands on that page if they have registered. And then Facebook will connect that person's IP address to the IP address that clicked the ad, and it will be able to put two and two together and say, oh, this ad got this conversion. That's what the Facebook Pixel is for. So if you are not running paid ads, then it's not something you need to worry about all that much. If you are running anything that has a conversion, like sign up for a free thing, buy something, then having a pixel on the thank you page and connecting it into the ad, and that's all something you do in the background in your ads platform, will help Facebook know this is how many people that we've seen the ad have clicked on it, and then how many people who click on it actually sign up. And if you don't have that pixel, it has no way of knowing how many people actually signed up. It only knows how many people went to the page and looked at it. Another use for a pixel is some people will put a general pixel across their entire website. And that just is something that tells Facebook if this person has ever been to your website before or has been there in the last 30 days or whatever you set it to.
So that's why when we go to a website, the next thing we know, we hop on Facebook and now we're getting ads.
Yep, exactly.
From that brand, right?
That's how it works. It's the Facebook Pixel. They've usually got a pixel installed on their site. Now their ads are set up to only be shown to people who have viewed their website in the last 30 days.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah, so maybe we'll do a deep dive into that on a future webinar. But Skarlet, hey, thank you so much. We kind of ran over time. For some people, we're ending early. I mean, the ones that just joined us. I'm sorry again, but I really appreciate you sharing your expertise and your insights. It's very clear to me that you know what you're doing, and you have a deep passion for helping other pet businesses succeed. And I just want to say I think you're a gem in the industry, and I really appreciate you coming on to share your
Absolutely.
insights with us.
Thank you
Okay.
so much. That means a lot to me. And I do still have that one surprise for everyone.
Yes. Oh, yes. I forgot.
So let me,
Oh, you know what? I should share.
yeah, if
Let
you'll
me
pull up
get
my
back over
screen
to
real
your
quick.
screen here. Yes. Up. There we go.
So if you want to follow this QR code, this is something that I'm calling the social selling breakthrough. I have not talked about this with anyone yet. This is a brand new service that I will be openly, publicly launching on Black Friday. But right now, if you go there, you can get the same price that is for Black Friday. And this is only right now being shown to very select private audiences. So what this is let's say you want to start doing all this beyond content things that we've talked about. Everything that I said here, I prefaced it by saying this works to bring people to your profile, but you want to make sure your profile is set up to attract and convert. Your profile has to be set up the right way. And the social selling breakthrough is an audit where I will record my screen and tell you exactly what I would recommend to do with your personal profile and give you specific advice on what to do, how to write your bio, how to set up your highlights, everything custom, personal to you in a recorded video. That is currently $50 after Cyber Monday. I don't know what the price will be, if it will go up or not. But right now, that is $50. And because I am personally recording a video for each person, there's a limit to how many of those I can do. So if you go
50
there
bucks
and
to
they're
have
not
you
available,
audit my Insta? What?
yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah, absolutely. So I can only do about 5 of those a week. So if you want to get it, go jump on it. If not, if you go there and you see that like it's not available, just keep coming back because the next week more spots will open up.
Scarlett, thank you again. I appreciate it. Hey, happy holidays to you. And I know I'll be in touch with you soon. So thank you so much for joining. Hope you have a good night. Okay.
Thank you, you too. Bye,
All right.
everybody.
Take care, everybody. Bye bye.